Welcome back to the Cybersecurity Unmasked podcast by ITBizTek. This is episode 40, which is kind of wild to think about.
I know, right? Time is just flying.
It really is. So if you listen to our last one, that was a smarter cloud migration plan for Toronto SMBs. But today, we're shifting gears.
Yeah, today is all about going from reactive IT to smarter technology leadership.
Exactly. So for you listening, have you ever worked at a company where the technology feels like it's just held together by like duct tape and sheer willpower?
Oh, I'm sure almost everyone has at some point.
Right. You know the exact vibe. You've got that one person who's great at fixing the jammed printer or, resetting your password for the third time this week.
Which is helpful, obviously.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you look past those daily fires, it's like nobody is asking the big existential tech questions.
Yeah, and it's a surprisingly common scenario. The day-to-day emergencies take up all the oxygen. It gives this illusion of productivity, but the actual foundation, the architecture, is just being ignored.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission for this deep dive is to explore this massive leap from panic-driven IT to actual strategic leadership. We're looking at our own comprehensive guide here at ITBizTek about the vCIO.
Which stands for Virtual Chief Information Officer, just to clarify.
Right. And whether you're an entrepreneur scaling up or an ops manager wearing way too many hats, this is the invisible layer that separates companies that scale smoothly from the ones that just hit a wall.
It really is. And the gap is vast, especially for SMBs under, say, 150 employees.
Because they have basic IT support, right? Like a help desk.
Exactly. But there's this massive strategic void above that. Nobody is sitting with the CEO asking, how does the tech align with our 3-year revenue goals?
I mean, they definitely aren't planning for what happens if ransomware locks down everything at 2 a.m. on a Sunday.
No, not at all.
It makes me think of this analogy. Having standard IT without a CIO is like having this world-class pit crew for a race car, but no driver.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Right. The mechanics are essential. The engine hums, tires are changed in record time. But without a driver steering, that perfectly maintained car just idles or, drifts into a wall.
Yeah.
The skills to build the engine are just totally different from the skills to win the race.
What's fascinating here is how accurate that is for internal IT teams. You might have a brilliant systems admin who could do strategic planning, but they are so buried in break-fix tasks, faulty monitors, software updates, their cognitive load is just maxed out.
Yeah, you can't map out a multi-year cloud strategy when the CEO's laptop won't connect to Wi-Fi 3 minutes before a board meeting.
Exactly. The urgent always drowns out the important.
So we have this gap. Let's talk about the solution our guide proposes. What
Yeah.
actually is a vCIO?
At its core, it's a senior-level tech advisor who works on a fractional basis, so not a full-time salaried employee. They work a set number of hours a month.
Bringing that executive-level experience, but scaled to the actual budget.
Right. Strategy, vendor management, budget oversight, all of that.
And the financials here are just wild. The data from Robert Half Canada shows a full-time CIO in a major market is like a base salary of $180,000 to $280,000 a year.
And that doesn't even include benefits, equity, bonuses.
Right. So for a 40-person company, a $250,000 executive is impossible. But a vCIO is typically between $1,500 and $5,000 a month. That's a huge shift.
It completely changes the math. But the trade-off is availability. A full-time CIO is there every day. For instant, drop-everything crises. A vCIO is scheduled.
Okay, wait, let me push back on this, though. If they just drop in for a few hours, isn't a vCIO just a fancy title for an IT consultant?
A lot of people think that, yeah.
Huh.
But a traditional consultant is project-focused. They come in, fix a server, write a PDF report, and they leave.
They hand you the invoice and vanish.
Exactly. But the vCIO model is about continuity and accountability. They learn your business, they learn your seasonal revenue shifts, your team's quirks.
And they stick around to make sure their advice actually works.
Yes, they are responsible for the actual outcomes, not just the recommendations.
So let's look at what they actually do. The 6 pillars of strategic IT from our materials. It all starts with technology road mapping, right?
Yeah, everything flows from that roadmap. Planning 1 to 3 years out. If you're opening a new location, you need the tech built out way ahead of time.
To avoid that last-minute panic buying of servers.
Exactly. And that ties right into the second pillar, budgeting and vendor management.
Oh, this part of the guide was so interesting. It is so easy to bleed cash on redundant tools. Like marketing uses one tool, HR uses another, and none of them talk to each other.
And everyone is paying for premium tiers. The vCIO audits all of that to slash wasted spending. and they act as a buffer with tech vendors.
Which is huge, because if a vendor quotes $100,000 for a network upgrade, a regular business owner has no idea if that's competitive or a total ripoff.
Exactly. The vCIO knows how to scrutinize that, which frees up money for the next pillars: cybersecurity and digital transformation.
Like an ERP implementation, right? Migrating all your heavy-duty software without breaking the daily operations.
Right. And on the security side, it's managing compliance for cyber insurance. They aren't installing the antivirus. They're making sure you don't get your insurance claim denied on a technicality.
Which brings us to the last one, and honestly, maybe the most important: board communication. Because if you can't get the board to pay for the tech, it doesn't matter.
The vCIO acts as a translator here. If IT needs a $50,000 firewall upgrade, they can't just talk about packet loss and zero-day exploits. The CFO will just say no.
Right. The CFO just sees a big expense.
So the vCIO translates it to business risk. They say, this vulnerability could cause a week of downtime, costing us $300,000. Now it's a risk mitigation investment.
That makes total sense. So for the listeners, how do you know if your company needs this? There are 5 inflection points our guide talks about. The first is technical debt.
Yeah, it's a silent killer. It's when you make reactive decisions based on emergencies.
Like paying the minimum balance on a high-interest credit card. You buy a cheap server today, but it causes huge headaches later.
Exactly. And the second trigger is hitting the 30 to 50 employee mark.
Because at 20 people, an ops manager can just buy a laptop at Best Buy.
Right. But past 50, you need actual systems architecture, standardized security, automated onboarding. An ops manager can't do that on the side.
The third one is compliance blind spots, like handling health info or strict financial data.
Or even just U.S. state-level privacy laws. The regulations are aggressive right now.
And nothing highlights those gaps, like the fourth trigger: security scares. A near miss with ransomware or watching a competitor get breached.
That's usually the exact moment executives realize they need true IT governance.
And the final one is major transactions, M&A.
Oh, yeah. During due diligence, investors will ruthlessly scrutinize your tech. If it's a mess, they will lower your valuation or just walk away.
So say a company's flashing all these red warning signs. They hire a vCIO. What do the first 90 days look like?
Well, it starts with a 2 to 4 week assessment. They just audit everything before touching a single button.
No dropping in and changing all the passwords on day one.
No, definitely not. After the audit, the next 90 days are focused on quick wins.
Like enforcing multi-factor authentication everywhere.
Yes. Closing obvious security gaps, canceling redundant software to save money immediately. Then it shifts to quarterly planning.
And it's all metric-driven. Better security scores, documented roadmaps, lowered IT spend.
Exactly. You have to hold them accountable.
But we should talk about the red flags, too. Because some providers out there just use vCIO as a Trojan horse.
Yeah, that's the biggest danger. Using the title just to aggressively upsell their own hardware to pad their profit margins.
They need to be platform agnostic, recommending what you actually need, not what gives them a commission.
Completely. This whole transition is about intentional architecture, aligning tech with revenue goals without that massive executive salary.
It turns tech from a point of friction into an engine for growth. And if you're listening, understanding this makes you so much more valuable. You can spot the difference between a company managing its tech and a company whose tech is managing them.
I'll just leave you with a thought to ponder. If a company's tech infrastructure is a direct reflection of its strategic vision, what does your current IT setup secretly say about your company's future? Could the lack of a tech strategy be the biggest invisible risk on your balance sheet right now?
That is a terrifying but necessary question. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into our materials. We'll catch you on the next one.